Excuse me. Being sick sucks. For me growing up, there's only been one thing that has ever made, well, getting sick actually fine. And that's video games. But sometimes, especially when you're sick, you can't just play any old game. Some games a bit more too strenuous. Ever try to play Civilization when you're sick? Don't do it. Don't do it. Too much thinking. Don't do that. But whenever I'm sick, there's always one genre that always sticks out that I gravitate to. It's my comfort genre. And today's episode of SIDEQuESTS, let's talk about it. I was sick about a week or so ago. I'm still getting off of it. But since I was just recently sick, I actually ran into this situation of, well, going towards my comfort genre and playing it, and I was like, I should talk to you guys about it. Do I have to? No, but I want to. So I'm gonna talk to you about my comfort games and how it kind of saved me while I was sick. Hello, I'm Noah Price, your Christian gamer, person who loves RPGs and JRPGs, but as we're going to talk about, that's not the only genre I love. And this is SIDEQuEST, a kind of category where I don't pick a specific game and review it or go on a journey and talk about topics based on it. This content I do is just more, if I find a topic I want to talk about, I'm going to talk about it. But my comfort genre shouldn't be too surprising because it's actually a cousin of RPGs, and that is roguelikes. I love roguelikes. Roguelikes are a mixed bag of randomness, skill, hard difficulty, craziness that can happen of probability, and sometimes the craziness going heavily into your own factor. I fell in love with not only the hard difficulty, but also this randomness that roguelikes gave with different kind of runs. With this being my comfort genre, and with it also being the one that I played, well, really while I was sick just recently, I wasn't gonna play it in my normal setup at the PC, or any other consoles for that matter. So today I want to talk to you about what I actually did play while I was sick, and that was RPGs that were on, well, the Nintendo Switch. The Nintendo Switch is probably my favorite consoles out there, mostly because of its portability. I love it so much, and roguelikes just paired with it so well. You have a little bit of time here and there, play it. So I'm gonna go through today and I'm gonna talk about the roguelikes that I have on the Switch. This does not have all Switch roguelikes, mostly because there was times where I wanted to get said roguelike, but I was broke. So this is just what I've acquired over time. Right off the bat, I wanna talk about the roguelike that I was actually playing the most when I was sick. This is the one I've been playing here and there and been picking up and slowly making my way through, and that is Moonlighter. Moonlighter is an awesome roguelike where it flips the lid on the normal structure of going on an adventure. You know who's the most handy dude when you're on an adventure like an RPG? The merchant, the shop. If you go there, you know you're gonna find something good to buy. Usually something to upgrade and help you on your travels. In Moonlighter, you are that guy. You are a person who by day is a merchant and sells wares to not only just adventurers, but also other people. But at night, you actually go into, well, the town's dungeons, and you go and pick up your wares so that you could sell the next day. This game's amazing because it has two main, well, play styles in it. At night, you go on adventures and dungeon crawl like you would normally find in other dungeon crawlers. And then by day, you have a shop simulator. Every item you put down, well, you don't know how much it is. You're the owner of the shop, so pick your price. And depending on whether customers buy your stuff, depending on what price you pick, you get a good estimate about what's actually worth what. And getting these two different genres together in one game is a very fun experience. Now, I played this game really early on, before it had a lot of its updates, and this game is a hard game. But a lot of love has continued to be on this game, and it keeps upgrading with different patches, and with a new DLC, this game has been amazing, but a hard, long journey, that's for sure. The first quarter of the game very much can feel like a slow slog, partially due to your shops being so small, not being able to sell as much, and also not being well equipped to deal with the really tough dungeons that are in this game. But as you start to progress and get to the mid part of the game, it does start rewarding you with different shops and different unlock NPCs that help you on this, well, journey. Again, I can't stress enough how awesome this game is, even though it is a hard game and a long game. I've been playing this game for a good long while, and I'm still only about halfway through this game. And it has DLC, which I haven't been able to touch. And with the cherry on top, to even show how the creators put so much love into this game, they do a seasonal update for this game. So in Christmas time, they'll do a Christmas themed aesthetic for the whole town. Stuff like this really feels good and engaging and feels like you're really in the game, living life as a merchant and trying to rebuild the name of Moonlighter. Now, while Moonlighter was the game I really just played while I was sick, basically it was my IV trying to get me better, it's time to talk about the honorable missions. These are roguelikes that I have on my system. I played at one point in time. It's not something I was playing so much just recently, but, well, let me tell a little bit about my journey with each one. The first one is Darkest Dungeon. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about this, basically because I've already talked about this in a video, so if you want to go check that out, check out the card thing up there. If you want to, you don't have to. Just know Darkest Dungeon is a great game and it has an amazing sequel, so check it out, check out that video, simple enough. And one more game that I'm gonna say, hey, I have this roguelike, I played it, I've enjoyed it, but we're not gonna talk about it, is Hades. I'm actually gonna cover it in a video in the near future, hopefully, not really near, but it is coming out on one of these special videos. The videos that I actually cover of a game that's recommended down in the comments by you guys, so I'm gonna be covering that in the future, so I'm gonna keep my peace till then. A roguelike I will talk about though is Slay the Spire. Now this is a classic roguelike. It really established a lot of things that are normalized in roguelikes today, with choosing pathways of where you want to go next. The biggest thing that I love about Slay the Spire and what it really helped me was it made me more familiar with deck building and dealing with that whole element and that whole shenanigan, learning how to actually build a deck and what not to do with a deck while still dealing with the randomness and funness of that was amazing. To be honest with you guys, I was always afraid of deck builders, to be honest. It just seemed a little bit overwhelming of dealing with a deck and wanting to just keep adding stuff to my deck when, well, that's not exactly what you might want to do. I didn't complete this game, but I definitely had played it with all the characters. I got the final ending. I had a great time with Slay the Spire. Next up is Dead Cells. Dead Cells is a roguelike that for some reason the devs won't stop. Can't stop, just keep updating and improving on this game. Just recently a new DLC has come out, and as you can tell on screen, I haven't really done all the DLCs. I was kind of playing around the first one coming out, and then I've had my fun and then got distracted by a different game and stopped playing it. Kind of a bad habit of that sometimes. Dead Cells is a fun, rewarding game that rewards you for trying to speedrun the game. It's really good in that factor. I would say this game takes a lot of skills. The bosses is really hard. While playing it on my own journey, going through this game, I only made it past the first final boss. Yes, I say first final boss, because this game is heavy on the Ascension type level of playing New Game Plus and making the game harder. Actually doing that, and especially with the latest DLC, if you do that all the way, you'll actually get a new ending, and that's a huge incentive for New Game Plusing it. Another unique thing that this game does is it has a lot of Metroidvania aspects to it, which is very interesting and cool. Usually Metroidvania aspects to me are a hit and miss. To be honest, they're kind of scary. Having to remember, oh wait, there's this like platform that I couldn't get through before, but now I can, like, it's too anxiety inducing. But there has been several games that implement it in a way that I've really enjoyed, and in this one, I like it. It's good. It's good. Next up is Wizard of Legend. This is another unique roguelike that I have mixed feelings about. I really enjoyed the gameplay. I enjoyed the idea of being a wizard and just using spells. While playing this, I very much it just made me think of Black Clover. So while I was in the middle of watching that, that was a perfect game to play alongside. But this is another one where story-wise it's kind of weird. It starts you off almost in the present day, going to a museum, and then being isekai'd out of there into the past. It's kind of weird, but hey, I mean, have fun with it. One thing I got to do with this game that I don't normally get to do, that's also a cool mechanic that it has, is, well, 2 players. There's actually a 2 players mode in it. And I only got to use it a couple times with my brother, but hey, that's still a cool thing that there's 2 players in a roguelike. Sometimes they don't normally do that. The one problem I have with this roguelike, beyond it being hard, as per the theme in this whole idea, the problem I had with it is because of its nature, it's very less on the randomness side of things. You can be pretty consistent with what you have and what you get. While in your run and picking up items, that's really the big, well, randomness. Before each run, you actually pick what cards are going to be each, well, type of attack that you do. Because of that, it really does constrain with what you do per run. You could very much just stick with the same stuff over and over, which isn't too fun, but there's still plenty in the game to add that variety. I just never took enough time to, well, unlock a lot. It's a game I want to love. That's how I feel about it. I want to love it, but because of some of those mechanics, it makes it kind of hard to. I mean, it's still a great game. It's still something I need to put more time into. Next up is Flint Hook, and I think I don't like this game, but I want to. Basically, this is about space pirates, and the biggest uniqueness of this mechanic, not only of being able to slow down or basically stop time, while that's very cool, but the thing is, you have a hook shot, and a big mechanic is being able to go around the stage, swinging your hook around. Very cool. There's a lot I love about this game and how it's constructed, and well, you're basically hunting down different dudes and plundering them. Like, that's very cool. The time Cronus thing, very cool. The only thing I really have a problem with it is the aiming. So different games, especially one we're going to cover in the future, is a twin stick. And so that means you move with the left stick and then you aim with the right stick. I love that in a roguelike. This one is aiming based on your movement. That sounds like that could be okay, not too bad. The thing is, roguelikes, you don't want to get hurt at all. But sometimes, when you're trying to aim at someone in front of you, you have to be moving that direction in order to make sure you're aiming at the dude to take him out. That's just one example as to how you can get hurt very easily in this game. The second thing is, well, the hook shot in itself. Trying to jumble the swinging up and getting around your enemy while also aiming to hit them is a little jumbled mess that I wish they would have just made it so you could aim in the right stick, because I think that would have solved so much problems. The big solution to this is comboing with your time Cronus thing, but honestly, it's a little bit of a jumbled mess. It's still fun. I jumped into it and was playing again for this video, and it was a good time, but that was my big problem with this game, is its aiming. Also, I should mention also, this is also a game that doesn't have a lot of randomizing to it. Next up is Sword of Ditto. This is another game that you can play with a second player, which is very cool. You should do that if you can. I didn't really get that, so whatever. I love this game because it's literally the show Adventure Time, that kind of style, that kind of fun shenanigans, combined with, well, kind of a Legend of Zelda feel. Jumping back in and playing it for this video, I was surprised at why I dropped this game. I assume it's something with the gameplay loop of going on runs and how that just didn't have enough to hook me. I think that's what went wrong, because these two elements together seem fun enough. And then on top of that, adding the randomness with the weird, crazy world seemed perfect. I think my problem with it is that, well, when you die, it comes into a new era and it's your lineage, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's mostly because that meant the world isn't necessarily as random as it is, because it has still that Legend of Zelda field of going through dungeons. I think that's what went wrong, but also there's like heavy on when you kill an enemy, you get leveled up, so I really don't know. I think I need to cover this game in a video, maybe not, but it's a fascinating game. I think you should check it out. The next game up on this honorable mentions is, well, Neon Abyss. This is probably one of the most recent roguelikes I got. Recent, I mean, it still was a while ago, but it was the most recent of the newer roguelikes that I've got. For some reason, I didn't like this game. If you love the cyberpunk theme and that whole aesthetic, this is a good game for you because it covers all of that. I'm not too crazy for that aesthetic, to be honest, but I was looking forward to it in this game. How this game plays and how it goes as a flow, actually is a good time. And it has both a lot of random items you can get, while also having, well, a lot of characters to play as. And they all add different, well, variety to how you play. But something about the aesthetic, something about the game, it just wasn't enough to me that I really enjoyed it. The different items, and I love this whenever a roguelike does this, different items that you get and find, if you put it on, you actually get to see it. It makes your character look different as you go through the run. I love that, that's cool. The weird egg system where you pick up eggs and then they slowly possibly can hatch into minions which help you out. I mean, I'm not against it. Little weird, kind of cool because it can add to the craziness, which different roguelikes, they can add the possibility of like, oh, I'm just having a run to where everything is working together, synergized, and it's crazy. Like, that's cool, that's fun. You want that possibility in a roguelike. You don't want it to be too consistent, but you still want it to be possible because that makes the most memories while you're playing a roguelike. Something about this roguelike though, I just didn't really enjoy it too much. And I think that's more on my taste, to be honest, not the game. Now this one is kind of sad, but it's Binding of Isaac. This is a game I think just I never touched it at the right time. Around the right time that I should have touched it to actually probably get into it and really enjoy it, I kind of grabbed a different roguelike and enjoyed that too much. But when I went to this game, for some reason, it was not quite at the right time. I understand why it's a classic, and I wanted to like it partially because of the different, well, Christianic themes that's in the game that they put in. Just the grossness and all that, I just couldn't really enjoy it. It might be something I touch and play again later, but Binding of Isaac is just not really a roguelike that I really spent a lot of time in, and not something that I played and I was like, oh, I want to play more, I want to get into it. Which is kind of a bummer, because I know it's a classic. I know it's a classic. And it does the thing I just mentioned that I love, and it's probably the one that really made it big, is when you get a upgrade or a different thing, it affects your character. You can see the difference, and stuff like that's very cool and very enjoyable. I don't know. It's a good game, but I don't know. Last honorable mention, Finale. The last roguelike that is on my system that I enjoy playing a little bit too much. Enter the Gungeon is the roguelike that found me at the right time in the right place. I enjoy this game too much. This is probably one of my favorite games in all time. Instead of playing Binding of Isaac, I was playing Enter the Gungeon. This game is a fun game because of the variety and the combo of one, this game is hard and it's a bullet hell. There's so many items that help you. This game's variety in weapons you have, items you can get, and the fact that they later on patched in to where they actually made the synergizing a actual mechanic in the game. While in roguelike, it's very common to find items and you're like, ooh, okay, what works together with what and what works really well, what synergizes. This is literally a mechanic in the game to where it's like, no, this will actually change the weapon and they synergize, and so it's even more powerful. Which opens the door even more to being able to do crazy runs that just work too well. Not only that, the whole pun on bullets and to where, well, you have bullets shooting at you. It's funny, it's great. I love the aesthetic of this game. I love so much about it, it's so cute. I love Devolver's dodge rule. Dodge rule is my favorite mechanic in all time. Can't tell me any other mechanic. The crit factor, I love crits, I really do. And I might have changed my mind when saying this, but dodge roll, oh, it's so satisfying. One day, if I ever actually complete this game, I will be covering it for you guys in a future video. I just love this game. It's a great roguelike, and I don't care what price you put it at, it's worth it, it's worth it. And with this DLC of putting in Dungeons and Dragons, just added so much fun to it. Probably my favorite thing about this video and talking about the different roguelikes that I've played, they all are very cheap games. And they're games that, like, they're worth more than what they're priced at. So go play some roguelikes if you don't mind. Let me know down in the comments what actually what's the comfort genre for you? What's the game you go to when you play it? Let me know. I might want to play them out too. And if you want me to cover any games on a special video, let me know down below. Or if there's some games that I talked about here that you were like, hey, I want you to do a video on it. I want you to talk more about it. I can definitely go do that, so just let me know down in the comments. I'm gonna go play some Enter the Gungeon. Bye guys. God loves you.